This court was not able to determine whether or not this was a domestic violence incident, and so an attorney will be appointed for you at your next hearing, which is at Youngtown Municipal Court. And that will be on July 31st at 9 a.m. If you are out of custody, which we're going to let you out today, I've provided the information, their phone number for you, so you can call and make sure you know how to get to your hearing and when to appear, what to bring.
Yes, ma'am.
You are not to return to the scene of the alleged crime or have contact with the alleged victims, witnesses, or complainants. If there's an order of protection or an order of harassment issued against you, comply with those. Those are court orders.
Okay.
Okay, this is all on your paperwork. Please step to your left.
You said phone and paperwork, right?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people that we will visit cell side. Oh, yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so we have unable to function, disruptive, and again, unable to function. Mr. Robert Wells, oh, we saw him. So we're okay on Robert Wells. He heard everything that I am required to tell him. We can just give him his paperwork.
I don't have him on my, he's the one that, like...
He had a little explosion.
Oh, the one thing, okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's got his paperwork.
He's got his paperwork. Okay, we're good on him. All right, just making sure. Okay, Francisca Quiros, her date of birth 10/15/1986, unable to function. This is a new Superior Court case. It was alleged that she committed burglary, however, which is a Class 3 felony. This court did not find probable cause and would like to release her without conditions today if she is able. This court is concerned about her well-being and will be asking one more time before she is released if she is on some other type of a hold, a medical hold or an evaluation hold. The next person is Mr. Gabriel Elijah Von Tobel, date of birth 6/12/2005, Superior Court, new case with allegations of criminal damage, Class 6 felony, threatening and resisting arrest, both misdemeanors. Public defender has been assigned. Next hearing is July 23rd, 8:30 downtown. There is a secured appearance bond set at $250, but more importantly, pretrial services requiring random testing for illegal drug and alcohol use, no less than weekly until the next hearing if he is released. Also, he is not to return to the scene of the alleged crime, no contact orders, especially not going back to 3302 West Thomas Road. This will be written in his paperwork. And the last individual is Barry L. Rupp, date of birth 10/29/1986, the Superior Court probation violation warrant, allegedly had violated terms 6, 7, 11, 12, 21, and 21A. The bond requested was $500. This court will affirm that. There is an existing attorney on the case. The next hearing is July 24th at 8:30 a.m. This case was specific because this was an extraordinary circumstance case per MCSO, and it's further detailed on this recording. Defendant's medical condition prevented him from participating in a timely initial appearance hearing, including on a virtual basis. So the defendant's medical condition did improve sufficiently, and so he would have been here in person for his initial appearance, but apparently he is again unable to function. I understand he's not feeling very well. But he was discharged from the medical facility, and so he is being seen now at the next available calendar. I will visit all of these people cell side and provide them with the same information, probably a little bit more. If anything changes, those changes will be reflected on their written orders. It's not this court's intention to return to the recording, so at this time the 8 p.m. initial appearance calendar is in recess until 11 p.m.
Hello, hello. Si-
Okay.
okay, all right, all right. So I want to
Hey,
go ahead and I know you guys saw me pick up the phone right now. I had a phone call coming in, and we got Silas Johnson or Silas M. Johnson, coming in with us right now. How are you doing today, Silas?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. We were watching these court hearings today, man. I wish you would have been on so you could have seen or not seen, but heard, and I would have given you a visual what was happening with these court cases today. It was wild. We had we had this one with this one dude that went off on the court staff. He called them a bunch of a bunch of sea suckers and a bunch of liars. And then we had this other dude barfing all over the podium inside his barf bag. And man, it was if you would have heard it, you would have been like, damn, like what kind of operation are they running over there today?
Is it a courthouse or a rehab center?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let me see. So go ahead,
Is it a
Silas.
full moon out there in Maricopa?
Hey, I might need to look
Full
out the
moon in
window.
Maricopa? They under some kind of solar movement that we ain't aware of. Man, that's they making it hot in Maricopa, man.
Yeah, they definitely are. So for those of you that are new here, we do a little bit of everything. When it comes to the criminal justice system, we do. As you guys could tell right now, we're on a live call from prison. Silas is currently located in a California prison, Sentinel State Prison. We cover some of these initial appearances. In the past, I was covering board of parole hearings. So we do a little bit of everything. If you guys have any questions for Silas, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then I'll do the best to go ahead and get around to your questions. Anything that you ask, please, just be respectful and within good taste. I know we get a lot of questions as far as dropping the soap. Just so you guys are aware, this is 2025. Nobody drops the soap anymore because they don't have soap bars anymore. They only have they have liquid soap. They have they have that gel. So we just.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So we just get that one out the way.
Yeah, and FYI, if I want to get my back hit, I'll just ask my girl. You know what I'm saying? We get conjugal visits here, so I'll just get one of those and ask my lady for that. So.
That's right, Silas. And we got
you have 60 seconds remaining.
We got a question from Sue. Sue's asking, "Hey, how is he doing?" Silas?
Hello?
Yeah. She's so we got
okay, yeah.
We got a question from Sue. Sue's asking, "Hey, she writes, hello, how is he doing?"
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. Just watching the clock, waiting for time to tick off so I can get released back into the wild.
Thank you for answering that. We got another question from Wetsuit Man, and Wetsuit Man wants to know, how long has he been in for?
I've been incarcerated for 24 years and 4 months.
24 years and 4 months. Damn. That's a long time. I know the call's about to hang up right now, Silas. If you could go ahead and give us a call back, and then we could go ahead and get into some of that. All right. So Silas should be calling us back shortly. Once he does, we'll go ahead and continue. Like he just mentioned, right now, 24 years and 4 months. Man, 24 years ago, I was 20 years old. Damn, James, you're 44? For those of you that know math, yep, I'm 24. Let me see here. Hey, Grace, right now. So when he calls back right now, I'll go ahead and ask him. The question right there. Phone is ringing, and let me play it up.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept
Cinco.
this call, say, thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
All right, I'm back.
Yup. So let me see here.
Yeah, so,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So I had another question from Grace from Canada, and she wants to know, what is he inside for?
Inside for first-degree robbery and second-degree homicide.
Yeah. Damn, Silas.
So I committed a robbery in November 2000, and unfortunately in January 5th, 2001, took someone's life in a gang-related murder.
And let me ask you something, Silas. So you committed you took somebody's life. How does that affect you, knowing that you took somebody's life? Obviously, back when you did it, you were a different person from what you are now. How does it affect you, like when you think about it, what you did?
It's. I think that you go through. Well, I can only speak for myself. I've gone through stages of kind of feeling the effects of what I've done. I mean, during my earlier years, and right after the event, I didn't think about anybody else but myself. For me, it was evading, getting caught and doing trial. It was all about lying to, escape responsibility. After my conviction, it was just putting everything. I mean, I even glorified it, because in gangland culture, it's something that gives you prestige and credibility as a gang member. So I glorified it and leaned into it, and it was, but deep down there was always this, this sense of injustice and tragedy and loneliness. But it's the last thing you want to think about, when you're serving a life sentence on a level 4 yard. That's a hyper violent environment. You want to put on your mask and your brave face and act like you don't care. And so for years that's what I did. But eventually, after having some life changes and having people in my family pass away, and particularly my parents and my nephew and was murdered in a gang related homicide, and it's just different things that happen to you that make that hits close to home, and it brings what you've done to someone else closer to you, and so I've been able to open up and to be open to the pain that I cause others by experiencing things myself, and kind of opening myself up to feeling what I've done to somebody else, and it's not easy to accept. It hurts knowing that at one stage of my life I was the kind of person that could do something so horrible. It's difficult to face. It's difficult to face, and I think that the most difficult part is getting over the shame of doing what I've done, and moving from the shame into the guilt of what I've done. It's been a process.
I know a few moments ago you mentioned your cousin. He was also murdered. The individual that took his life, was he captured?
No, it was my nephew.
Your nephew,
my sister's son.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
And yeah, the individual, he's incarcerated right now, and when it occurred, I had all kind of feelings of anger and and obviously and all of those things, grief, anger, but I also felt deep down like a hypocrite, because this is something that I had done to somebody, and it's something that I was willing to keep doing, for in the name of of the culture that I was involved in, gangland culture, and so while I felt the gravity of the loss, I also felt like a hypocrite because, I mean, I'd done the same thing, and how could I righteously, be upset with somebody or feel some type of injustice when I had done the exact same thing to somebody else's family, But yeah, he's incarcerated right now.
And how do you feel about that individual eventually possibly coming home? I'm not sure what his sentence was. I'm not sure if you also know, but how do you feel about them eventually coming home one day?
I guess I really haven't allowed myself to think about that, think that far ahead. That's something I haven't even really processed. I haven't even really gotten to that side of things, I do believe, I do believe in second chances, I believe in second chances. I mean, obviously I'm biased where this individual is concerned, but I think just for the sake of posterity, I mean, I would have to say that this individual, actually came inside, this environment and really, discovered who he was outside of that culture and got down to the root of all of the things that made him feel like something like that was acceptable and truly changed his mind.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And I mean, it's difficult for me to say, but I do believe in second chances. I guess I'm a little too close to that to kind of make that determination.
Yeah. But it's something definitely you want to think about because I mean, you're pretty much at the end of your, at the end of the tunnel. You see some light. When it comes to your sentence, I know you were sentenced to a very lengthy prison sentence. You recently went in front of the parole board and where you were found suitable. So, within the next few months, if everything, pans out the way it's supposed to, then you will be walking out of those doors and, I'll be out there, greeting you. But I would strongly suggest start thinking about that because eventually he if he's on the right path he might end up coming out one day.
Yeah, and I mean ultimately, right? All of us, and I mean even if you haven't done something as horrible as what I've done, ultimately we're all looking for grace and forgiveness. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I've been offered grace and forgiveness, you know what I mean? So I would hope that through the process of, the next few years that I will be able to give that same grace to somebody else,
Yeah. Well, man, Silas, I know a lot of people are asking right here, when are you getting out? So do you want to share a little bit more, about that? It's recent. I think at this point it hasn't even been a month that they found you suitable to be paroled.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Yeah. So last month I went to my second board of parole hearing, and I was granted suitability, and so now I'm going through what they call a review period. The review period lasts anywhere from 120 to 150 days, and in that review period, they go through, let's say, any confidentials in your file, any, if you get any 128, which is essentially like a warning, or a 115, which is a rules violation before the write-up, and so through that period, they'll review your file and everything, and at the end of that period, if everything holds up and, there's no changes, and you're granted release. They do have what is called in banc, ENCBANC. And so essentially what that is the governor of California can kick the decision back to DPH and panel of commissioners review their own decision. And most of the time, if there's no change, the panel upholds the decision. The governor can also take the action of just rejecting, rescinding your suitability and just say, hey, we're not going to let this guy out. Usually that happens in the case of like high profile people, who have earned parole, but politically it's just like, people just like, say if Charles Manson, when he was alive, if he would have gained suitability, I don't believe politically he would have been let out, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So the governor can do that. Or the governor can choose to take no action, which is the 120 days plays out, and he takes no action, and you just release. So I haven't even reached the 30-day period. So I have probably after the 30 days, 3 more turns of the moon cycle, and yeah, we'll see what's happening.
And let me ask you something, because you might be way more familiar than I would as far as when it comes to statistics or with numbers. Right now in California, how many yearly, do you know how many individuals that have life sentences are coming home now? At what rate?
I don't know. I know from I have it in there like past statistics from the California Life and Newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the number has gone down significantly over the last few years.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to misquote, but I think it was probably around 1,500 lifers that got released last year.
1,500.
I could be wrong. I could be a little bit over, but initially when lifers began to be released, it wasn't surprising that the numbers were particularly high, because there was essentially a moratorium on lifers being released from prison, even if they gained suitability in the old governor's regime. So you could gain suitability and the governor would still say, no, we're not letting them out. So when they actually started going by, the parole guidelines and releasing people who had earned suitability, obviously there were a lot of people in here who should have been released that were released in those numbers when they went to their hearings. So the numbers, the first couple of years were essentially, there were people who were going to parole, for the first time or second time. There were people who were being released who, the first couple of years, who were just kind of just the holdovers from people who should have already been home, So the numbers decreasing isn't that surprising. The employment development fraud, the EDD, and circumventing restitution, which I was guilty of both, and it was reprimanded for during my first parole hearing. That has also, been a hindrance in people gaining suitability, earning suitabilities, because people like me, committed misconduct, and so that was addressed, and it's being addressed. So I think those people are kind of still being weeded out. So I think that's another reason why there's possibly been a slow on the amount of lifers who have been going home in the last couple of years.
Thank you for sharing that, Silas. And the reason I asked you that was because, the individuals that they do eventually let out, they're normally vetted, and if they're gonna let somebody out to be my neighbor, I want this
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I would prefer if those individuals that they do let out of the state of California, I would want them to have the same mindset you have, where you see the errors of your ways, and you're not that same individual that you were when you walked in through those doors, You
have 60 seconds remaining.
Over 24 years ago. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and also Leash had a question. She says, Silas, can you go over what your victim's family had to say at your hearing? I know the call's about to hang up, so if you could go ahead and call us back, and then provide us with some insight as far as how that was with your board of parole hearing with the victim of your family, or the victim of okay. All right. So I am seeing the comments on the chat. I know somebody mentioned that I should have a mod, but you know what? When it comes to filtering out comments. Everybody has their own opinion, and even though we do get a lot of positive comments, when it comes to the large majority of individuals that do come on here, there's people that feel a different way, and they could, as long as they're respectful, I don't see the need to filter out their comments.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Cinco.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Okay, I'm back.
Once you answer that question, I have another question after you answer that question from Kristen, and it's in regards to once you come home. So once you answer that, and I'll go ahead and ask you her question.
Okay. So during the hearing, my first hearing, my victim's family member didn't show up, and so this time they actually did. His brother participated in the hearing, and I was ready for any vitriol or hatred or contempt, and well deserved. I earned all of that by taking their family member from them. So I was prepared for that, but I wasn't prepared for his response. And he was respectful, and he was gracious, and he offered forgiveness, and he expressed how he came from the same environment that I had come from, and that over half of the people on the job site of his crew that he oversaw, were felons or military and veterans, and it was just interesting to hear, along with the pain in his voice, because he was very emotional, along with the pain that still felt fresh, and that was kind of shocking to me as well, and I guess it shouldn't have been, but it was something that taught me a lesson that
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
24 years ago for me is nothing to their family, to his family, because they still feel it, every day, and so just to have him, after my gain of suitability, congratulate me and congratulate me on my higher education achievements, and asking me, to take this opportunity and fly, it was really, really emotional and really humbling to have to have somebody, extend that amount of grace to me, and it just to who he is, it speaks to who his family is, and it's something that I know that I have a responsibility to honor. I have a responsibility to go out there and live my life in a way that means something.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know. You mentioned on your first board hearing, nobody showed up, so you were blindsided when his brother showed up. You didn't see that coming, so you didn't. I don't think you factored that in as far as the statement you were gonna make. But I'm glad that he was open to to forgiving you and moving on with his healing and moving on with his life.
Yeah, it was like I said, I've expressed this a few times, like over the last couple of weeks, leading up to that process, I was thinking about myself and my freedom and what I want, and all the hopes that I had going into that hearing. and it's been strange. I've been doing a little preparation. I've been prepared for years, but I've been doing some preparation for reentry. But the thing that's really been at the forefront of my mind is the young man whose life I took in his family. That's really been just like heavy on my mind lately.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've been thinking about that for the last 20, 20 some years. I don't think it's something to do, taking somebody's life and not think about it. It has to affect you, in your everyday
Yeah,
life.
we as human beings, we can play games with ourselves mentally, and we can lie to ourselves, and you'd be surprised at the justifications we can make, the lies that we can tell ourselves, and the justifications we can make for our own actions, and how we can rationalize things. And there's parts of there's parts of me that I've been able to shield, psychologically from like the shame and the grief and the guilt of what I've done, because you just put it away, right? You just, hey, I was a gang member, and you tell yourself as a violent gang member, this is what happens. This is what we do. It's similar to a soldier going off to war. You've been trained for years and years not to humanize people that are combatants. They're just targets to be neutralized. And in gangland culture, it's much of the same. We're socialized to look at people as enemies, as combatants, as targets. And so when you do that with yourself mentally and emotionally, you don't have to feel the weight of harming somebody, because they're not really like, and it sounds horrible, but they're not really human. They're just this thing that you need to eradicate. But that's the only way that human beings can harm other human beings, because morally and emotionally and mentally, you couldn't handle it if you didn't look at this person in another way, in a dehumanizing way. And so I think for most of the time that I was incarcerated, and in society for that matter, I was able to harm people because I dehumanized them. I didn't look at them as someone's son, someone's uncle, someone's brother. You look at them as, well, he's from here, he's from over here, and they did this. So I'm justified in doing this, I'm entitled even to do this. And so a lot of times you just lock it away, all of the morality that, you're doing wrong, but you put that away, you put it in the closet and you lock it away, and that's it, and it's a coping mechanism. When I first came to prison, I saw someone stabbed in the yard probably around 30 times, right? And it was one of the most horrible things I've seen in my life. And they came and got the victim, picked up the knives, got the two people that assaulted him, drove him off the yard, and they just resumed the yard like nothing had happened. And people went right back to playing basketball, handball, and like nothing had happened. And I was just astounded. I couldn't fathom how you could just keep walking the track, working out when something as horrific as this just happened. But it was normalized. I was on Sea Yards for Miss Valley. This is the most violent yard in California at the time in 2002. And people were desensitized to it because it happened every single day. And if you let yourself internalize that emotionally, you drive yourself crazy. So the only thing you can do is to say, hey, this is part of the game. This happens, And I went from that individual as a young 20-something-year-old to, after 7 years in the shoe and 3 violent assaults and stabbings myself, in 2015, I remember seeing somebody murdered on the yard in Kern Valley and turning around and asking somebody that was laying down on the ground next to me if he thought they were going to run canteens still, because it's just how it is, So there are mental tricks in the things that we play with ourselves to protect ourselves, the lies that we tell ourselves to justify things.
Yeah, I know I've had conversations with individuals in the past, and they'll mention that they'll know something's gonna happen, and so they'll go take a shower, so that just in case they go on lockdown, then you're well prepared, for whatever you order your store from Canteen. Um, and it's just another day, like you said. But that's prison for you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's horrible to say, but I mean, when I'm pretty sure soldiers that are in Afghanistan and Iraq, when they're out there in the field or on patrol and they engage somebody, one of their buddies dies. I mean, after the first time, it's probably horrible, and all of the times are horrible, but after the, fourth or fifth time, it's kind of like, this is just where we're at, and this is just what it is.
You're in the game, yeah, like EA Sports. You're in the game, so um, you can't allow things like that to distract you, because if you're distracted, then you're not gonna be performing at your best.
Or better yet, you come up short.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shit. Hey, well, thank you for sharing that insight, Silas. I'm gonna go ahead and jump over to the other question right here from Kristen, and she's asking, is he worried about what life will be when he gets out, since he's been in for so long?
I do have my concerns about coming home. I mean, everything is structured in here, whether I'm at this institution or any institution. After you've learned how to navigate the carceral setting, a cell is a cell, a yard is a yard. There's only so many variations in one day here. Like we just came off of a modified program for about almost a month in, and I mean, everybody here was like freaking out. But I've done over 7.5 years in solitary confinement with no phone, you know, no anything. So it, I've been through. There's only so many things that this place can throw at you. There aren't that many twists and turns in here. So out there, I mean, everything is moving fast. I don't, I pretty much got this on lock as far as knowing the ins and outs of this out there on the streets. In society.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And the one thing I've kind of learned from interacting with people in society is that everybody's in a hurry. I call people and you're like, hey, okay, hey, what's up? Okay, did you get that? Okay, all right, hey, all right, well, just call me back. So it's like kind of, in their own little world. And, so I think it's going to take some catching up. I think that people deal with each other like a little impersonally out there. In here, like our interactions are more, they're more. I guess they're deeper in here, and out there it just seems like whether it be social media or the interactions and relationships that people have, everything seems so superficial out there, and so plastic. So I know that's going to be something that I'm going to have to learn how to navigate. But yeah, I have my concerns, but I've been doing my Jedi training, and I'm ready for it.
Man, just get ready. Get ready when you walk into that first Walmart, when you walk into that first In-N-Out burger. You're just gonna hear like just all this chatter, all this heat. Just people are just moving around without saying, like, walking behind you or track, or letting you know that they're moving around you, saying excuse me. People are just, they're living life, and they're just passing on by, and it's a lot different. I recently went through that with Pablo. We went to In-N-Out, and man, we walked into In-N-Out, and as soon as I opened that door, you could just hear all those voices, and we walked into In-N-Out, and people were just passing Pablo, and you could kind of see it in his face, like, damn, like this is different. Like, I'm not used to this. I've been gone for X amount of time, and it's real now. This is what life is about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's going to take a little getting used to, like the hypervigilance. When you're in prison, you always have a sense of hypervigilance and spatial awareness. Who's around me? Who's people? People are people in prison. They don't get too close because it's a dangerous place. So people, they have a real spatial awareness. And so, you know, if somebody gets close to you, hey, excuse me, man, like they'll tell you like while they're 3 feet away approaching.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
You know, someone approaching you in a brisk manner usually means danger. So there are some nuances in here in the hypervigilance of being in here that I'm gonna have to kind of navigate and get used to out there. You know, so I'm aware of that. So yeah, so James is going to be live streaming our first meal out there, coming to pick me up, my first interview outside of this place. But I'm telling you guys right now, if we walk into Walmart or Costco and I hit the ground and go into a fetal position and grab my ears and rock back and forth, we're editing that out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get you some earmuffs to deaden the sound. Oh, man.
I make no promises. I might turn into Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man up in there, right?
Yeah, you know, when it comes to my videos, I normally don't edit anything out. I let them. I like to leave them like in their true form. So yeah, you're gonna get the bloopers and all, if you will. I'm currently working on some videos right now with some interviews with Pablo, and you know, I've been working on them for the last 4 days, and hopefully, you know, I'll be able to release some of them in the coming days. All right, Silas is calling back right now.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
All right.
All right. So let me see. Let me go through some of these questions right here, because I know there was a lot of questions on here. So I want to make sure I read some of them off. So a lot of people want to know when you're coming out. Another one was how much time were you sentenced to? What was your original sentence?
So my original sentence was 34 to life, and I received 9 years for first degree robbery. I received 15 to life for second degree homicide, and a 10-year gang enhancement for a total of 34 years to life. On my initial appeal, I received a 10-year sentence reduction for the gang enhancement, so that was removed, and I ended up with a 24 to life sentence.
Thank you, Silas. My daughter just walked in. ¿Qué dices? No, she hasn't come. Yeah, she's No, I'm talking to Silas. ¿Le quieres decir hola, Silas?
That's the real James right there.
¿Qué dices? Well, you could tell him hi fast.
Hi, Silas.
Hola, niña.
Dijo
¿Cómo
hola.
estás?
Dijo, ¿cómo estás?
Can I say please in abandon?
Huh? No, yeah, no, don't show your face, because if not, then we might get banned. We don't want to get banned. Yeah, she's always trying to show her face, and they were tripping earlier on when she came by. Yeah, TikTok they be on it. Let me see. Hey, no, move. She's trying to cut the stream. Let me see here. So one of our viewers here that goes by the name of Miss Leanne, she had her brother was his life was taken away, and she was sharing some of what she's gone through. And hey, sorry for your loss. And one of the comments she put on here, she writes, I have mixed emotions. I believe in second chances, but the people who hurt my family, I can't forgive. So yeah, it's I can definitely see that nobody wants to see their family members hurt, and then when it comes to that individual coming home, I don't I feel that a lot of people won't forgive. So I think it's a natural feeling to have. And then we had some other comments in the chat that I'm not going to mention because their views were a little bit uh they're pushing the envelope when with the comments that they were putting. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion. The majority of people that jump on
Well,
here
I don't.
go ahead, Silas.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, right? I mean, I don't, I don't, I don't knock anybody who has an opposite opinion on restorative justice, right? I mean, I think that obviously I'm on this side of things, and nobody knows what it's like to walk in my shoes except for the sisters that have walked in my shoes. So I'll say like the sister that's on who lost her brother, my condolences to you and your family for your loss. And then I can understand her sentiment, you know. And I understand if people have a different viewpoint, socially or politically in terms of people who commit violent crimes. You know, I completely understand that. You have people who have been victims of crime. You have people who've had, peripheral, secondary victims of crime because their loved ones, have been harmed or had their lives taken, who've committed violent crimes. So I don't think, I don't believe it's a one size fits all type of deal. I think that I believe that it's completely, it's complicated, and it's something that nobody's ever gonna agree completely, and I'm open to detractors. If someone doesn't believe, in second chances, if someone believes that
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
if someone believes that if you've taken a life, that you forfeit your life, whether it be through incarceration the rest of your life or even, the death penalty. I don't agree with that. But I can respect somebody's opinion and I'm open to everyone's opinion. What I will say is this, it's really easy to have an opinion when you don't have any lived experience. The sister who lost her brother, obviously she's somebody who I can respect her opinion, because she has a dog in the fight, but, pardon the pun, but it for anybody else who's just voicing an opinion, hey, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but it's really easy to make a judgment on somebody or somebody else's situation, and in any context when you really haven't lived things, if you haven't grown up in gangland culture, if you haven't grown up impoverished, if you haven't grown up, and suffered abuse, if you haven't suffered circumstances that, that potentially turns you into someone who was callous and just stopped caring and humanizing people, then it's kind of convenient for someone to have that stance.
Yeah. Let me read out. Leanne, she wrote some other comments right here, and let me see what she put right here. Let me see. She wrote. It's hard, but I have friends in for also taking a life. Um, Let me see. And she also hopes that they're able to come out one day. So she has mixed. That's what she meant by it, that she has mixed emotions. Let me see. And then she also wrote it because if my brother was the person that took somebody's life, I would still, she would still want him to be set free. So yeah, there's that.
And what can you what's her name again?
Leanne, or Miss Leanne.
Leanne?
Yeah.
Leanne? Oh, Miss Leanne. for your contribution to the conversation. And I 100% understand your point of view, and I appreciate your honesty, and you being candid in expressing that. A lot of people would just express, your negative sentiment, but wouldn't, express what you just expressed, that, hey, if it was my family member, if it was my brother, then my feelings would be different because I would want my family member home. A lot of people only, and I think that's the huge problem with the justice system as far as it being retributive instead of restorative. The fact that the system is made up, the judicial system and the carceral system is made up of mostly poor minorities, is the reason why, a lot of the affluent or wealthy are about retributive justice as opposed to restorative justice. I mean, I think if there were a ton of rich people in prison, the sentiment in society would be totally different about the carceral system.
Mm-hmm. And she also wrote that her brother was a GB, so I'm assuming that's a gangbanger.
You said GD or GB?
GB as G as in girl and B as in boy. So I'm assuming that stands for gangbanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Let me see.
So, yeah, it's complicated. It's definitely complicated.
Shout out to Kimberly, and let me see. We have another question from 412, and they're asking, does he have family to live with when he gets out?
Yeah, I have a strong support family system out there. I do have family that that have opened their homes to me. One of the conditions of parole is going into transitional housing, and they expect that for approximately 6 months. I plan on staying probably 9 months because I'm entering into a master's degree program, the forensic psychology program. And so I'll be staying a little bit longer just to get settled and to have an opportunity to work and save some money before I move into my own housing. I don't plan to stay with any of my family members. I plan to, gain my own independence and save my money and move into an apartment. And there are a ton of resources out there that help with that.
Yeah, there is. You got to definitely take advantage of them while you can. While you could utilize them, because I don't think they offer help. Forever.
Nah, definitely not. And the guy with the orange face is gonna start cutting, slashing. He's gonna start slashing everything, man.
Let me see, and then
he who shall not be named.
So 412 is asking, would he want to share his story online to help others? I've seen a lot of people do that after. Yeah, no, so that's what we're planning to do. So, Silas is he shared his journey. We've interviewed him before a little bit over a year ago, and I do have a YT channel where I do have all those interviews archived if you guys want to go and check them out. It's at Collect Call From, the same as the channels that you guys are watching right now. The links are in the profile. And ultimately, what we want to do is once he walks out them gates, I plan on being there front and center. I am gonna live stream it, so as long as I'm able to be there, I will be there live streaming. We will see Silas jump off that van. We will interview him, and then we're even gonna follow him around for the first day. So definitely mark up your calendars. In the coming months, we will be doing some live streams and dropping some videos.
Definitely, and I plan to document my first year back home. So yeah, I'll definitely be tapping in with James and developing something on my own, and just kind of giving a little bit of insight into what it is for a lifer, and after spending nearly a quarter century, in an institution and going through reentry, just from everything from first meal to going shopping for clothes, going to get my social security card, the driver's license, and job interviews, and first job, and just Relationship. I plan on documenting everything. I want to give everybody in here, a view of what it is, like a roadmap, and not necessarily something that.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
But I want to show individuals in here and in society, that redemption is possible, and a little bit of what it takes in my journey to Hollywood.
Hey, also, you also plan on opening up your own platform, right? Once you come home, you do. I know you do have a social media accounts, but you do plan on updating and sharing your thoughts or some of the things that you're gonna the challenging things that you're gonna be going through when you come home. You're gonna be sharing with whoever wants to check you out, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. I got some really cool things in the works, man. I don't really want to talk about it and jinx it, but I have some really, really cool things in the works lined up, man. And yeah, you guys are definitely gonna have access, access to me, and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It's gonna be really cool, man. I look forward to working with James in conjunction, man. It's gonna be something really, really. Man, it's gonna be something new, man.
For sure. And if you wouldn't mind calling us back right now, we're gonna wrap it up just because my daughter's here. She wants me to make some videos with her on TikToks or YT. So I told her I would do that with her. So if you want, call back, and then I'll go ahead and ask any last questions, and then you could say your piece, and we'll be done for the night.
All right.
Cool. All right, cool, for sure. All right, and then let me see. So Silas, Cynthia, he's gonna be out sometime before the end of the year. So what are we're in July right now. So in the next few months he should be out. As long as everything goes goes good with his with whatever's left. With his 120 days that are left, or 130 days. I think it's like 120 at this point. Somewhere around there. But yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys updated, so you guys can know when he is going to be coming out. For those of you that do want to see him walking out or getting out that van, then you guys be more than welcome to. Yeah, you missed the court, Kim. Man, I've been on all day today, Kimberly. I jumped on from 8:00 in the morning to I think like almost 1, and then I jumped on from 8 to 9. So you missed the 8 to 9. I might be back at 11 though. I'm not sure yet. It depends how I feel. But for sure, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll have some time. I'll have some extra time on my hands tomorrow. So for those of you that like court, be on the lookout for me tomorrow. Let me see, James. Can we put our heads together and try to get his daughter there for the release? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Man, shit, that would be awesome if we could do that. But for sure, yeah. I know he had mentioned that he wanted his daughter to be there. So for sure. Let me see. So I gotta stretch my legs here. My legs are falling asleep.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson,
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
5.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
All right.
So man, hey, thank you, Silas, for calling in tonight. I'm glad we're able to touch bases with you. Shit, hopefully we could do that do that with you in the next coming days. Do some more follow-ups. Just to get your thoughts on what it is like. Just waiting for the clock to tick, waiting for them gates to open up for you.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you having me on as always, man. Thank you to all the viewers, for those in favor and for those not in favor, man. I hope those of you that aren't in favor of restorative justice just take a little time and do some research on recidivism, on the people who are involved in the justice system, man, and give us a chance to change your minds, you know.
Hey, Silas, you know what?
And,
Take
thank
the
you
mic
guys
right.
for supporting.
Take the mic right now. I gotta step away because my daughter's calling me, but I'll be right back. Okay? So, hey, shoot, speak about whatever you
Okay.
want.
Yeah. So once again, I want to thank everybody that called in and that locked on to the stream and asked questions and participated tonight. Particularly everybody who's been affected by gangland violence or been victims of crime. I definitely want to send a shout out to you all and just send positive vibes out there to you with hopes that all of you, gain healing and clarity and lessons in the future moving forward. It's definitely going to be a different experience coming back home, and I'm aware that my opportunities to change people's minds out there are going to be pretty profound, and I plan on taking advantage of that. And thanks for everybody for tuning in, and hopefully I get to talk to you guys soon on the other side of this gate, and you get to see me live in person in 3D and witness the beginning of my journey.
Oh, hey, hung up. Hey, guys. Hey, I'm not sure what happened, but hey, I do appreciate you guys. I'm not sure we'll be back at 11, but if you guys want to watch the 11 o'clock one, I will be running up. He hung up. Okay, cool. Thank you. Anyways, thank you, Leash. But hey, I'm gonna go ahead and hang it up for a bit, and then I might be back at 11. So if you guys have me, if you guys are following me, you guys will get that notification at 11. All right. Hey, I am Collect Call James. You are watching. You have a Collect Call from, and like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we're out. Yeah, rato.